This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
It's Oh Behave with Arden Moore, the show that teaches you how to have harmony in the household with your pets. Join Arden as she travels coast to coast to help millions better understand why cats and dogs do what they do. Get the latest scoop on famous faces, their perfectly pampered pets, and who's walking who in Rin Tin Tinseltown. From famous pet experts and best-selling authors to television and movie stars, you'll get the latest buzz from wagging tongues and tails. Garner great pet tips and have a doggone fur-flying fun time. So get ready for the pause and applause as we unleash your Oh Behave host, America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore.
Welcome to the Oh Behave show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. Now, right now, I am doing the Snoopy dance in celebration. Why? Because our guest on today's show is America's veterinarian. He is one of my cherished friends. You know, when I began airing the Oh Behave show a decade ago, he was my very first guest. So it is a great honor to welcome back on our show the remarkable Dr. Marty Becker. Hey, glad to have you back, Dr. Marty.
Gosh, how in the world can it be a decade?
A decade. 10
How is that possible? I was telling somebody today, they're in their mid-30s, and they were talking about how fast time goes, and I go, you wait, man. It's like, I don't even know how that's possible, Arden.
Yeah. Well, we have over 300 shows, and you ready for this? Oprah Winfrey picked the Oh Behave show as one of her top 3 favorite pet podcasts. I didn't get a free car, but I got an Oprah endorsement.
Well, you know what? Not too many people have that.
That's right.
Hey, how many books have you written, Arden?
Pet books or other books?
Pet books.
Probably, I think I got 26. I'm doing, my next 2 books are kid books, a dog activity book and a cat activity book for kids.
Wow.
I know.
That's just amazing. You know, people, I know they come to you all the time and to me and have interest in writing a book. I think there's a study where 87% of Americans said they thought they had a book in them, and people don't realize, you'll read it, you look at it and go, well, that didn't take very long. They don't realize how much effort goes into a book.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I got to tell you, folks, Dr. Marty Becker is a writing machine, and he's here today to unleash his latest book. It is one as we, as pet people, all need to get our paws on. The book is called From Fearfrul to Fear-Free, a positive program to free your dog from anxiety, fears, and phobias. It's co-authored by Dr. Lisa Radosta, Dr. Wailani Sung, and Mikkel Becker, with a little editing talents by Kim Campbell Thornton. And I got to tell you, wow, I'm not going to even say bow wow, Dr. Marty. You know, you have a game changer here in this book. And I'm going to make all of you just wait a bit for him to talk about it, because we got to pay for the show and take a commercial break. So you know the drill. Sit and stay. We'll be right back.
Time for a pause. 4 furry ones, actually. Sit and stay. Oh Behave will be right back.
Molly, here's your dinner. Zeus, that's not your food.
Don't let that happen to your precious cat. Elevate your cat's eating experience with the Cat Tree Tray. The Cat Tree Tray keeps your cat's food off the floor and conveniently located on the cat tree. It's the perfect way to eat. It's a beautiful wrought iron tray that easily attaches to your cat tree and keeps dogs and other critters out of your cat's dish. A must for multi-pet households. There's a 6-inch tray for large bowls and a 4-inch tray for smaller bowls. Purchase your Cat Tree Tray today. Go right now to cattreetray.com. That's cattreetray.com. cattreetray.com.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com. Oh Behave is back with more tail-wagging ways to achieve harmony in the household with your pets. Now, back to your fetching host, America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore.
Welcome back to the Oh Behave show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. My good friend, the remarkable Dr. Marty Becker, America's veterinarian, is our special guest. I love you so much, man, and I got to brag on you a bit. Dr. Becker has co-authored 25 books that have sold 8 million copies, and 3 have landed on the New York Times bestseller list. And he's here today to talk about his latest co-authoring achievement. The book is called From Fearfrul to Fear-Free, a positive program to free your dog from anxiety, fears, and phobias. Dr. Marty, I have my copy right here. And here is something that you wrote in the book. You said, I've never written a book that I felt was so important for every pet owner to read. Please explain.
You look back, so, between us, we've written over 50 books, and I have to say each one you feel at the time it's like conceiving a baby, and then it takes not months, usually years of work, and then it finally comes out and you're proud of it. But if I look back at the whole library of books that I've done, the first book was a company called Becoming Your Dog's Best Friend. It's really about the human-animal bond. And then Chicken Soup books, and those were, they're great because it was at a time when people had this crazy love of animals, where they wouldn't kiss their husband goodnight, but let the dog lick, lick itself in hard to reach places, give them a tonsil swab, and and pets were moving, from the barnyard to the backyard to the bedroom to sleep, and from the kennel to kitchen to eat. No more Sunday project dog houses in the backyard, but into our house. And then I wrote The Healing Power of Pets, which I was still very proud of, with the New York Times reporter. Came out the week of 9/11, so great book, but very bad, unfortunate timing. And then you write books like Your Dog the Owner's Manual, Your Cat the Owner's Manual. Arden, you've written books that are as good or better than that, and there's probably, if we went to Tattered Cover here, I happen to be in Denver with one of these amazing bookstores, there's probably 200 books on raising a dog. But what we've done with From Fearfrul to Fear-Free, it's the first book ever looking at the emotional well-being of animals. That's its focus. And so most people don't know they're boarded veterinary behaviorists. The American College of Veterinary Behavior, there's only 75 in the world. There's 59 of them are on the Fear-Free advisory group that works to create, fear-free veterinary visits, fear-free training, fear-free homes, fear-free shelters, fear-free groomers, fear-free daycare. But two of them, two very respected boarded veterinary behaviorists, and they're not somebody that's in academia. They're not somebody that's just in research. They work with pets every day in practice. So Wailani Sung and Dr. Radosta are amazing and you're one of the fortunate people that know these people personally too, Arden.
Oh,
they have the
terrific
education, the training, and the experience that we need. And then Mikkel is a very well-known dog trainer. So we kind of bring that thing from, whether it's, the mundane things of greeting a dog. 99% of people greet a dog wrong. And so this sets up, fear, anxiety, and stress. For example, most people, those of us who love pets, we see a dog, whether it's, a fellow dog in the hospital, or you see one on the street, or you're at Starbucks, or you're headed to the outdoor mall, and oh my God, it's cute. What's his name? What breed is it? You stick your hand out.
Yep.
You do three things wrong. One, the dog's already smelled you before you even saw it. Number two, you're having direct eye contact, which is threatening. And number three, you're reaching over it, which is threatening. So instead, if you see a dog coming, you want to greet a dog, you should turn sideways so your profile is smaller, crouch down if you can, avoid eye contact, and either, you can say, come here, girl, come here, boy, or just pat your leg and then let them approach you. That's
exactly
the proper way to do it.
I mean, this gives me chills. Folks, that's right. When we go gaga over a dog or a cat that we want to meet, that's like, oh my gosh, get away from me. That's like your aunt that wants to pinch your cheeks and give you a big smooch and she just ate garlic and onion. Right? I mean, seriously, you got to tone it down. And Dr. Marty Becker is here with this book. And I do want you, we're going to get into the book a little bit because you have some amazing phrases in the book that I really like. But I do want people to know about the Fear-Free Pets program. And folks, after the show, please dash over to fearfreepets.com. This is a whole program that is led by Dr. Marty Becker. It's taking the pet out of petrified. And, of course, his main website, drmartybecker.com. But I'm happy to be one of your contributing writers for your site. And I'm completing my certification. So there you go.
You're one of 30,000 that have done it.
Yeah.
This is funny, Arden. You and I have been friends for decades. We've worked together on all sorts of projects. And when Fear-Free started, there was zero thought of creating online education. All I wanted to do, once I knew that those of us that worked with pets were causing repeat severe psychological damage to pets by what we were doing or not doing, how we caused pets to develop maladaptive fear and the equivalent of PTSD, how almost 100% of pets were suffering. Well, nobody gets in this business or grooming or walking or daycare to make life worse for animals. So then it just evolved. We went back to the Board of Veterinary Behaviorists who've been talking about this for decades, but most of us, myself included, thought of it as like collateral damage when a pet was yawning, drooling, shaking, shivering, hiding, avoidance, curling in a C, cat freezing, dog walking into the room and laying down and closing its eyes. Hell, I thought that was good. I thought a dog that walked in the exam room and laid down and closed its eyes, that was good. And you know what? That's in the defense cascade, shut down. That's the equivalent of being in Syria in an orange jumpsuit and there's a film crew and you hear Jihadi John behind you. This is not going to have a good outcome. Why don't you run? Because you've shut down and you think you're going to die.
You're right. Now, in your book, From Fearfrul to Fear-Free, there is the FAS, and you want to kind of explain, folks, what that stands for?
Yeah, it stands for fear, anxiety, and stress. And one of the things, Arden, I want to stress in a different way is, before 2009, when Karen Overall had this talk that transformed me, that whipsawed my emotions back and left me feeling actually kind of nauseous, thinking about all the pets that were hurt over the years by us stretching a cat out with its head in one zip code and its ass in another zip code, about, a Pilotex restraint on a dog, a judo throw, rodeo thing, trying to just get a nail trim done. And then thinking of all these pets that had stress in other parts of their life, I didn't know all the signs of fear, anxiety, and stress as a veterinary healthcare professional. So one of the things that's the start is to learn these signs. And let me give you a story how to put it in perspective.
Sure.
I fly all the time. A baby walks on the plane and is crying. And everybody in the front row, I used to call it the Blackberry Prayer because everybody's head was down when you walked in first class.
Are you still in seat 2B?
I am. I'm in the Shakespeare seat. Got good memory. And now everybody's still looking down looks like they're in prayer, in a church service. But when the baby's crying, everybody looks up. And we look at it and we're thinking, oh, it's in distress. And then you think, what is it? Dirty diaper, hungry, gas, needs a nap, had a bad experience on a plane, something. And you want to fix it. You want to hope the mother can fix it. Well, pets do the same thing. It's just that they are crying in their body language, in their vocalization, in their, the behaviors that they're exhibiting. And so that's what you have to, first, and some aren't subtle. When you have a thunderstorm phobia or 4th of July, those listeners out there, this is full-blown panic. This dog he's called the Saint-Vitus dance. It looks like it's vibrating, like it could just stand in one spot and vibrate over there because it's shaking so bad. And this pet is in a physiologic wreck in that state. And that's one of the things we talk about in there, whether you cannot have a pet suffer through another thunderstorm season or 4th of July, or if it's gotten to the point where a buzzer in the kitchen causes a problem,
I think it
have solutions.
Yeah, you talked, I think McKellen talked about her dog, Coyote, on page 115. There's minor things that some dogs get triggered by. So let's go with this, with what could maybe be how you should approach it and really figure out what is the root of the thing and maybe some ideas on solutions working with your veterinarian or behaviorist.
Yeah, so the first thing is to know that it's not okay to ignore the emotional well-being of your animals. And most people, it's just been something that hasn't been talked about. It hasn't been a priority. So what I do when I practice, I ask people, are there any behaviors in your pet that you'd like to improve? And Arden, God bless R.K. Anderson, the godfather of veterinary behavior, he taught me this 20 years ago. If you ask people, does your dog have behavior problems? It's like asking, does your child have behavior problems? No. Because you don't want to think, oh, my God, no, it's not this. But if you say, are there behaviors you'd like to improve? Then people will say, yeah, it's excessive barking. Yeah, he's terrified of this. He's horrible. He has leash aggression. He has this or that. Then you start talking about drilling down. Like for some pets coming in a veterinary hospital, for example, they're okay till they hit the front door. We had our own little dog that slipped a disc in his back. I live 17 miles out of town. I was going into, it's not the practice I work at, wanted to get some radiographs. He was fine until he hit the front door, and then full-blown shivering, shaking, panting, yawning, salivating, all those signs of fear. So what it was, the next time I took the dog in, we went in the back door.
Oh,
and
okay.
It didn't have the same reaction. So most things you can work. It's, unlike humans, they can't recall often that, hey, I had a botched blood draw when I got my annual physical to renew my cholesterol meds. So now I don't want to go back. But there's certain triggers that are common for most pets on a walk, going to the vet, going to the dog park. And so this book, the good thing about the book is you don't have to go to a boarded behaviorist or even the veterinarian. A lot of this helps you diagnose it yourself and then provides a solution that you can do yourself.
Well, yeah, you even have the phrase, it's calm instead of the storm. And so you were having some pretty good, even holistic ideas. And so want to talk about some techniques. You talk about chill pills and pheromones and, even therapeutic massage.
You know what's funny, Arden? Sometimes I see something you've written and I'm so jealous when you turn a phrase. I noticed when you said at the intro to this, there was some clever phrases in here. Writer to writer. We love it when you can. I told somebody yesterday, I don't want the status quo, I want the status grow. And they're like, oh, groaner. But, the calm instead of the storm is we have so many solutions now. We have, this is kitten season, of course, and it's also, times you're going to have litters of dogs, wanted or unwanted. But Mother Nature, when I think of a buffet place, I think of Golden Corral,
Right.
You go to Golden Corral and pick out whatever you want and stuff yourself. Well, if you're a wolf or a coyote or predator and you came across the bitch or the queen laying on its side nursing, that's going into Golden Corral, man. This is going to be a feast. So Mother Nature had to protect the mother and the offspring. So they have these pheromones that are secreted by the mother when they're nursing. It's right down there by the nipples, and it causes them to become calm. Luckily, this pheromone works throughout the pet's life. Number two, there's something in the milk. It's milk casein. It's part of milk that causes them as they nurse. They don't even have to have a distended belly. This causes them to be calm. And so they're laying there. It's very calm.
Okay.
Very little whimpering, very little vocalization. So there's a product called Zilkene, and Zilkene it's a milk protein that's been changed a little bit. So you have a dog that has noise phobias, has separation anxiety, or is so you can use it every day very safely. Or you can use it episodically. I'm going to the veterinarian, and the veterinarian will prescribe a dose 4 to 6 times the regular dose, and you do it 3 to 4 days before the visit. And that or sometimes we'll use an FDA-approved pharmaceutical like Celio that we use off-label for fear, anxiety, and stress. But when the pet comes in, it's like your college roommate when they come back in from a night out and you don't know what they're on, what the heck they had, but they are sure as heck happy. And these cats or these dogs that come in on the chill pills, or if we have to go out to, something a little stronger, they can have a great visit to the veterinarian, just like that lab that's towing somebody into the hospital.
Exactly. Yeah. I got married and we have a furry Brady Bunch now, including a 75-pound Bujo. Bujo is I call her my big black mountain. She's a Bernese mountain dog with a dash of Catahoula. And when I came onto the scene, if there was any rumble, and unfortunately in Dallas, there is some bad weather here at times, she would turn into a 75-pound shaking puddle and just launch herself on the bed. Well, I was telling Julie, hey, you can't go, it's okay, because the dog's like, crap, that's that voice. That's going to make it worse. I just started massaging the ears from the head outward and was very calm. I'm happy to say we just had a T-storm here today, and Boo Boo, I call her, she just came up to mine, and I just did that, didn't say a word, and she no longer shakes. And when she goes to the groomer, she was doing a shake, rattle, and roll and drool and all that. And they gave her one of the chill pills. And now when she comes to see the groomer, Sherry, she's like, oh, this isn't so bad. But you're right. They read our energy so much. But I learned a lot from you, Dr. Marty, and a lot of the veterinarians and behaviorists. I think we're both students and teachers. Don't you agree?
You have the best of Boo Boo, my big black mountain.
She is my big black mountain. She's my big black mountain. I love Boo Boo.
It's so funny. Do you know I can't remember where it was, but we had a thing where people had to imitate how they greet their dogs when they come home.
Oh, yeah.
And we'd spur them on. It's just embarrassing what we do, how we launch ourselves into this crazy voice. But, the great thing about it is when you look at thunderstorm phobias, we've learned a lot from Temple Grandin's on our Fear-Free Advisor group. There's like 250 people on there.
Right.
And Temple's talked to us a lot about, how compression works. And so she in the movie, Claire Danes played her. She wrote Animals in Translation, and she's autistic. And so compression really helped her. It was basically like a squeeze chute. You do cattle that would calm her. Some people now use, she says, like industrial strength Spanx to give that compression. Mm-hmm. When that baby was actually sat back a couple seats and she swaddled it very tightly and it immediately calmed down. When you lose a family member, or you have a natural disaster, something really bad in your life, and Arden, I'm a hugger, and when we meet we hug, but it's not the same kind of hug as if something happened to your wife or something happened to Boo Boo and you were grieving. Those deep hugs. So we often start. I like thunder shirts. They work about 70% of the time to reduce fear, anxiety, and stress. We have, if you're going to the veterinary hospital or groomer, we have pet owners start a week out. If you're going to use a carrier, you take it out. You don't trigger that night before or morning of thing of getting it out. You have them come in hungry. You preheat or pre-cool the car so they go from, 72 to 72 to 72, not northern Idaho in the winter where you'd go from 72 to 30 to 72. You don't baby talk the pet on the way in. You play a certain kind of music on the way in. When you go to North Idaho Animal Hospital where I practice, you go and check in, and then you go back out and wait with your pet in your vehicle. There's literally 6 to 8 waiting rooms out in the parking lot of people waiting until it's their turn to be seen. And then we go out, we take the pet, we help them take the pet in like we're delivering a fragile Christmas present, not them walking in at a typical hospital, the carrier swinging like the pirate ride at Six Flags, or the fat cat has sunk down to the bottom of the carrier and it's at a Johnny angle like the Titanic going down. But, it's not, when you said about Fear-Free, I'm kind of a figurehead for it, but, like you're part of it. You're one of 250 people. Fear-Free is we, not me. It's loaded with the head of animal cognition at Duke, the head of animal cognition at Bardard, Alexander Horowitz, who wrote the #1 New York Times bestseller, Inside of a Dog. The people you see on TV, Jackson Galaxy, Brenda McMillan, Victoria Stillwell.
I have to do a shout out. Yeah, I got to do a shout out for Brandon. Good, Brandon. Because he's been on our show. I love him. He's a sweetheart.
He's a rock star. He's my wife, every time she sees him at the Hero Dog Awards, swoons, so I got to keep those two apart.
Yeah, he is he's chiseled.
Arden, listen to this. The number one thing humans hate in healthcare is needles.
Right.
And now the local hospital, I can't remember the Ritz. My sister lives outside of Dallas, one of those ritzy areas where, this is the ultimate in boutique healthcare for humans. But in our local hospital in northern Idaho, rather than just having you go in and get your blood drawn, and there's that freaking chair that's got flat arms that swivel out, looks like an executioner's chair that they do the blood draw on. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. And there's 5,000 blood vials here and all these needles and stuff around you, and a certain smells medical. Now they have you go into a little room, and 3 at a time, and this gal that would make the greeter at Walmart seem depressed comes in and happy. You boys and girls are really excited to be here today, aren't you? We all groan.
Right. Yeah.
And she said, listen, if you've been here before or never had it done, we've learned a few things. Like, it's really good to hum happy birthday to yourself. And so she goes, let's practice. So we're all, and we all smile and chuckle. She says, do you want a little something on there, the dead in the skin, so you don't feel the needle? So 2 people, 1 of the 3 wanted that. I didn't. She suggested you not look at the needle, and then she introduced Panic Pete. So you squeeze Panic Pete, and the eyeballs come out like, ooga, ooga. She said it's for boys and girls of all ages. So a guy goes in front of me, the first guy in. He's a logger, and I know he's a logger because of the way he's dressed. His pants are cut off at the, about halfway down to his ankles. They do that for the chainsaw doesn't get cut, and he had a certain kind of shoe wear on. I hear him in there, ooga, ooga. He was so happy coming out that he'd conquered that. So let me tell you the equivalent. Do I have time to tell you the equivalent?
Yeah, and then Yeah, and we're going to then take a quick commercial break and wrap things up. But yes, go ahead. What's the canine equivalent?
So here's what we do in the veterinary hospital now. Don't you think the dog or cat knows that syringe is there? What we do now, we use a line, it's called the Ultra line of vaccine, and it's only half the volume. So, a lot of the standards ask you to give vaccine in the tail or below the elbow. If humans ever had a flu vaccine, you know how volume matters. So use this ultra line of vaccine that's half volume. We pre-draw the vaccine, and it's covered up with a towel that is impregnated with pheromones. And then when you go to do the pet, we have somebody up front. A lot of times now I use an ice cream cone, the yellow one that tastes like styrofoam that your mom used.
Yeah.
Put whipped cream in it, or peanut butter, or easy cheese. So while the pet is licking the whipped cream, when you go to vaccinate, we do what's called gradient touch. You touch, tint the skin, touch, tint the skin. You've replaced the needle that you do the vaccine up with a brand new needle, sharp, that the same size used for babies, and you touch, tint, you deliver the vaccine over 3 to 5 seconds, real low volume, and Arden, they never know they're vaccinated. In fact, the worst problem you have is the pet owner going, you get done, boy, you were a good boy, you were brave. Aren't you going to vaccinate it? I did. You did? What a great problem to have. But now you see you've taken the pet out of petrified. You put pets back into practices where they belong. They get the health care they need. And one thing that I do, that my biggest pet peeve in healthcare is people overspending on super premium foods. Don't be fooled by the shiny packaging and everything. Talk to your veterinarian about what's best to put in your pet's bowl, and use your pet health care dollars wisely.
Hey, folks, we're speaking with Dr. Marty Becker. He is America's veterinarian, and he's got a book I bought, and I want you to do the same. It's the best investment you can make in your pet. It's called From Fearfrul to Fear-Free, a positive program to free your dog from anxiety, fears, and phobia. We're going to talk to him in a little bit. We got to take a quick commercial break, but we're going to get into the dog's brain after this break. So sit and stay. We'll be right back.
Time for a walk on the red carpet, of course. All Behave will be back in a flash, right after these messages.
It's DesignerPetSweaters.com. Hand-knitted designer sweaters for your precious pup or cool cat. Beautiful couture patterns for your pets, including custom-knitted formal wear, casual wear, yachting, and even sports-themed. Many designer pet sweaters include feathered tammy hats, top hats, and a lot of sparkle. Each sweater includes leg loops, front paw sleeves, and leash opening. Visit DesignerPetSweaters.com to order your four-legged fashions today. Large or small, we fit them all. DesignerPetSweaters.com.
Oh, sure. It's all fun and games until someone ends up in a cone. That's right. We are animals. Deal with it. Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets. Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets.
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Hi, this is Brandon McMillan, the host of Lucky Dog, and I invite you to listen to Oh Behave with Arden Moore on Pet Life Radio.
We're back from the lot. Just checked the paper and we had a record showing at the box. The letterbox, that is. Now back to Oh Behave. Here's Arden.
Hey guys, this is Arden Moore. We are so delighted that we have the Dr. Marty Becker on our show. We're wrapping this up, and I do want you, after the end of the show, to please dash over to his sites, drmartybecker.com and fearfreepets.com. Learn how you can get certified in fear-free handling of pets. It's, like he said, it's a status quo instead of a status quo. Quo, I did that wrong. A status quo instead of a status quo. And Dr. Marty, I want you to get into the brain of the dog, because in your book that you've co-authored, From Fearful to Fear-Free, this is a game changer. I really am not just saying that lightly. It is truly a game changer. And you get into the brain. So not to hurt my brain too much, but can you kind of give a little brief talk about why it's important to know what's really going on in your dog's brain?
Well, you think there's a term called privacy of mind, that nobody really knows what you think. I could tell you that I love Donald Trump, but I love him, I do this, but in fact I don't. Right. Or that I said, you know what, I've been eating vegan, when in fact last night I went out and had a cheeseburger. So you really, Julie for you or Teresa for me, nobody really knows what's going on there. But there are clues.
Right.
And when you look at a dog, I was taught, this sounds so crazy. I graduated in 1980, coming up, that's 38 years. I was married in 78, so that's 40 years this year. I was taught coming out of school that pets did not feel pain, or animals did not feel pain, and if they did, it was good because they were immobile, wouldn't chew the stitches out, wouldn't stand on the leg we just fixed. It's funny the power that somebody can have, somebody that's a person of authority, that you believed it.
Right.
You trim your dog's nail too short, you do a branding iron on a cow, of course they feel pain. And now the thing is, do they, so now in the last decade, veterinary medicine has embraced multimodal pain management for things. And now with fear-free, fear is caused by something painful or something disturbing. So disturbing can be thunder. Disturbing can be a dog that's aggressive. They walk by. Disturbing can be somebody botched a catheter placement and they associate it with the clippers. Something disturbing can be I had something painful examined in the exam room and I associate it with the room or the smell. Really the best example, I think, is when you trim nails. You trim nails too short, that's painful. After that, the sight of the nail trimmers or the drawer that's opened where they're contained, or going to the back of the veterinary clinic triggers a full-blown panic attack. But there's this little thing in the dog's brain, it's just like the same little thing in the human brain, about the size of a human, about the size of an almond, called the amygdala.
I love that. Say that word again, because that's a great word.
The amygdala. And I don't know how this little thing can store so many horrific memories. It stores, as a little kid on the farm in southern Idaho, 6 to 8 feet away in the kitchen, my mom and dad screaming about getting a divorce. And Dad slapping his hands together and saying, I'll take the boys and you take the girls and we'll split these sheets and blah, 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 blah. And I'm terrified. It remembers a painful breakup with a high school girlfriend. It remembers car accidents. It remembers my granddaughter Reagan having RSV virus. And I finding the news, I could show you the exact spot. I parked outside a Starbucks in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, with my foot on the clutch, car still in gear, sobbing, worried about it.
Wow.
So for pets, their amygdala, it maintains all this stuff. Just because the dog didn't move when you were trying to do this and you did 10 attempts to draw blood, yes, it remembers these things. It remembers being attacked by, a dog on a walk. It remembers somebody with, fear-based training that, the choke collar, the stuff you see on TV where, you flood the dog until they submit.
Right.
The good thing is, this is what boarded behaviorists know. I mean, they literally know the brain, top to bottom, front to back, inside out. They know the importance of reducing fear, anxiety, and stress. And the other piece that's really amazing, Arden, is enrichment. That's the other piece.
That's right. That's right.
Fear-Free Happy Homes is our consumer website. And we talk about helping pets live a happy, healthy, full life. Happy is fear-free, healthy is veterinary medicine, and full is enrichment activities.
Well, yeah, I got to tell you, people think that cats sometimes are just hairy pieces of furniture, and they're not. And so Casey, my cat, we do a lot of enrichment. We go bowl-free thanks to your recommendation a couple times a week, and we get to bring out the hunter in the furry Brady Bunch. And I just think it is pretty cool. I won't sing the song, Here's a Story. No, okay.
I love that.
Enrichment, because you know what? Don't you think they're going to think you rock their world then? You're the cool guy that's doing the enriching.
You know what, Arden? You're one of the people that I look to that started this with cats. I mean, it's one thing if you have a dog that's, people think dogs have this incredible sense of sight. We actually, if you rounded it up, as far as, it's kind of like them looking through a screen door at dusk, they see movement incredibly well. They have lots of rods, so they see movement. They don't see the cones very well for color and clarity.
Right.
But if they're a dog that's, a duck hunting kind of dog, they love to see stuff flying through the air. If they're kind of dog that tracks, they have that new chuck it you throw on the ground and the disc rolls on the ground. Every dog at one time in their brain, they know I had to actually hunt for supper, that it wasn't plopped out here. So they have this genetic exuberance to detect, pursue, apprehend, and kill, and compete with the pack. And so you look zoos, it's amazing. Zoos do a better job than households do of enrichment for these animals. And luckily that's changing in that every night we have a new little kitten named Tally. And you know what that's like. It's like having a 3-year-old with ADD and a chainsaw in our house. My lands. It's done the unwanted extreme home makeover.
Yeah.
But I'm mainly joking. But at night we do, well, no, not even night. Night's the most. But probably my wife probably does 1 hour of enrichment. A lot of that is done at night while we're watching TV. But she has this fishing pole, and she has it looks like a box of flies, like if you're a fly fisherman. But she has different things you hook on the end of it, and it activates that cat's brain.
And you know what? And that's important. And that's why, folks, you got to check out the book From Fearfrul to Fear-Free, because I love it that you've got some pretty scholarly folks that are practical tips. You got your daughter, who is an amazing, one of the top professional dog trainers on the planet, and a nice person too. And the book is out, and we want to make it the 4th New York Times bestseller by Dr. Marty and team. But I wanted to, when you go into the contents, it's really broken down well, because he gives you really specific reasons about what's going on in the dog's brain, some tips about what you can do with your veterinarian, any kind of holistic solutions, as well as any kind of medications, how to put these skills into practice in real day life situations, like how to now help a dog not be so fearful, anxious when they go to, when there's a thunderstorm, when they go to the vet. I mean, I don't know. I'm just going to be prejudiced here, Dr. Marty. This is my favorite book you have ever written. Period. Done. Mic drop.
You know what? I have to say again that this book took 2 years with 4 of us working on it, and an amazing help with a great writer and editor. But you know what's funny, Arden, you and I, again, we've written 50 books between us, and you realize it's done how people like to digest information now. So it's not one long chapter and you just read. It's broken up into, easy to kind of digest segments with lots of really nice photographs and stories that draw you in. And one of the stories we talk about in the book is, I can still remember about 5 years ago, Mikkel, my daughter, who's his trainer, who's, she's gone out and worked with Nick Dodman at Tufts and done all sorts of, evaluated for the National Disaster Search Dog Foundation. She says, Dad, you're petting dogs wrong. And at first I was kind of pissed off. I mean, I thought, and this is in the exam room, so of course I don't say anything, right? But I get done and I go, I'm petting a dog wrong? What? I mean, how could you possibly pet a dog wrong? That's like, basics. And she told me, they don't like being petted on the head. This is somebody else's dog. Right. Don't like being petted on the head. Don't like stuff down the dorsal midline, which is where I was rubbing the dog. I'm talking to them about, tell me again why you're in to see me, and while they were talking, I was having eye contact, and I was trying to, you don't want to rub the fur off and start a fire. But Mikkel taught me about, they like side of the neck, side of the chest, base of the tail. So now, when I'm in practicing as a veterinarian, I'll often have a Zoom groom, which is a kind of a little rubber finger just made by Kong that makes the Kong toy.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of it.
And the veterinary nurse that's in there with me will using it. We'll be on both sides of the dog's neck, both sides of the chest, on the base of the tail. And for every woman out there that's like my wife, she loves to have her hair washed by somebody. And so when their fingers are in your scalp and it feels so good, or you're getting a facial and they do that massage. These dogs are just, and cats, a different place for them, but they're just like, I love this place, man. This is awesome. Or as you say, possum.
I'm going to come back as a dog or a cat and be at the your place in Idaho.
I think you're the one that started possum. I love.
I do. I say paws up, blah blah blah. And I also have just created. Well, not just created, but I go when I teach my pet first aid classes with Casey and Kona, which is a hoot to have a real dog and a real cat. And we do have some pretty credentialed veterinarians making sure I'm teaching the right things. But I created a program called How to Be a Mutt Guyver. What do you do?
Oh my gosh.
So what do you do when a pet is injured and you don't have a pet first aid kit handy and the veterinarian's miles away? What can you do with what you're wearing and what's around you to stabilize and immobilize that pet? So everything from aloe to poop bags to baseball caps to shoelaces. I'm teaching people how to be that bridge between the uh-oh and the veterinarian. And one of my students came up with a really good MacGyver tip. She said, well, my dog ran away. I just whipped off my bra and used it as a lasso and brought him in. I'm like, please don't demonstrate in class today, but I'll take
You know what? You got the head, the groan and the head shake on the MacGyver, which is what we look for when somebody groans. We're like, yeah, I like it. I love that one, Arden.
Well, I'm getting a trademark on it. So I think if we can help people realize you really can help an injured pet right there with whatever you're wearing or around you, and then get the pet to the vet. That's kind of my mission.
How many pets have you seen? I'll still remember that old amygdala of mine. I was driving home from work one day. I was living in southern Idaho at the time. Twin Falls got places where 5 streets come together. North 5 points, east 5 points, west 5 points.
Okay.
And I was sitting there, and there was a crack of thunder.
Oh.
Boom! It hits. And a dog went flying out the window of this pickup and hit by oncoming traffic and killed. And so, this is one of the things, this emotional well-being, when they started out, it was just like, oh, this is the right thing to do. And then very quickly we found out it was better medicine. Because when you take a pet to the vet, they're what we call the TPR, their temperature, pulse, respiration, and then blood pressure, they're not normal. And then when you take blood work, we call it a stress leukogram. So the blood sugars increase, the white blood cell count is increased. The spleen is like, hey, this is fight or flight. It squeezes out all these white blood cells and red blood cells. You get an increase of CPK, which is something you see from muscle damage, so if you're shivering. Well, because the temperature's up, even though you don't know if it's the start of a fever or it's stress. You see the increased white blood cell count. Is it infection or is it stress? Increased glucose. Are they pre-diabetic or stress? And the other thing is these pets will be limping or sore at home. They're sensitive. They cry out. You take them to the veterinary hospital when they're scared. You could spin the leg around like a dial, and you can't elicit pain response. So you can't isolate the soft tissue area that's damaged. And so now, Dr. Steve Ettinger, the world's most famous veterinarian, is our chief medical officer. Mm-hmm. So the great thing about Fear-Free is, the pets, it's the right thing to do and pets are happier, but it's better medicine. There's fewer injuries. It makes practice or working with animals fun again. And for people out there, your pet shouldn't be born retired. Your pet shouldn't have to suffer. It's a 4-legged family member, just like we would never let a baby, a toddler, a young child have some kind of emotional trauma. So now, through From Fearfrul to Fear-Free and From Fear-Free Happy Homes, you have the resources to help your pet live a happy, healthy, full life.
And I think you said it wonderfully. Folks, I have just thoroughly enjoyed this episode with Dr. Marty Becker, America's veterinarian. I met him back in 1999, so we're getting ready for our 20th anniversary, Dr. Marty.
We feel like partying like it's 1999.
Yeah. But folks, seriously, go to drmartybecker.com and fearfreepets.com, and please get on Amazon right now and get your paws on his book, From Fearfrul to Fear-Free. You're going to make a world of difference in your pet, and that's the mission of Dr. Marty and his team. We just want to have a better life. I say my motto is to bring out the best in pets and their people. And you know what? You're doing it every day in every way, Dr. Marty.
I love that. And Arden, I'm a raving fan of yours. I'm jealous of you sometimes because you turn a phrase and they're a great writer, but you've been part of this movement from its beginning. So, thanks back to you and people like you. You're one of the pioneers in enrichment in feline medicine. And so whether it's first aid or enrichment or education, an honor to be on your show. Thank you.
Well, you're awesome. All right, guys. I also want to give a shout out to he should be a doctor, to my producer, Mark Winter. He is the wizard of paws. He's the guy that has made Pet Life Radio the #1 pet radio network on the planet. And I think on Venus and Mars too, but that could be, challenged. We'll figure that one out. So please, guys, go over to PetLifeRadio.com. Check out all the other shows by the great host. And until next time, this is your flea-free host, Arden Moore, delivering just 2 words to all you 2, 3, and 4-leggers out there. Oh, behave.
Coast to coast and around the world, it's Oh Behave with Arden Moore. Find out why cats and dogs do the things they do and get the latest buzz from wagging tongues and tails in Rin Tin Tinseltown. From famous pet experts and best-selling authors to television and movie stars, you'll get great tail-wagging pet tips and have a fur-flying fun time. All Behave with America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore. Every week on demand. Only on PetLifeRadio.com.